On this AVSocial, we talk about how you define ROI when exhibiting at a trade show, how manufacturers can help integrators with their marketing efforts, and we look ahead to Infocomm 2017.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AVSocial, episode 24, FOMO.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by Infocomm International. Infocomm 2017, what will you create? Join them June 14th through the 16th in Orlando, Florida. Visit infocommshow.org for more information.
Hi everyone, I'm Dawn Mead. I'm here with yet another AVSocial on avnation.tv. I'm joined here today by a couple of special guests in yet another pre-Infocomm show. Today we have with us Karen Smith of Milestone. Give us a wave, Karen.
Hello.
And Clint Hoffman of Kramer. Hi, Clint.
Hi, how you doing?
Very good, thank you. Thanks for coming on the show today, you guys. I know things are very busy right before the show, so we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. Basically, we're going to be talking about the big show. It's coming up here in 2 weeks, I think. Some of you may be leaving even sooner than that if you have to do all the load in.
Yeah, I haven't started my countdown officially yet, but soon.
Soon. Close.
I'm going on the 10th. When are you going, Karen?
The 10th, actually, yeah.
Okay.
That actually might be when we're going, but I'm getting a couple of park days in there before the show. So
nice.
You don't have that luxury, I'm sure.
No.
So let's talk a little bit about being a manufacturer and exhibiting at Infocomm. As exhibitors, you deal with higher ups that give you this marketing budget all the time, and they give you the money, and us marketing folks, we tend to do our thing, but they don't always see what we're spending the money on. So how do you define success for a show like Infocomm? I mean, what's your true ROI that you're looking for, out of a show like this? It's a massive show, it's a massive undertaking, and it's a massive cost to your company. Either one of you want to jump in and just, let us know from your point of view what you get out of it, so to speak.
I'll let Karen go first, if that's all right.
Yeah. The big question. Yeah, this is the one. It's the one that everybody wants a really solid answer to. And, as more of a B2B platform, it's not always a direct correlation. One of the ways that we have been working on this is to really flag any of the new leads that we pull from these shows in our CRM. And then you can track and see what kind of sales you end up getting out of those accounts. So that's definitely one way to tie some direct ROI to it. But, obviously with these kinds of shows, there's a lot of relationship building that happens, both with customers and with other manufacturers. And that's a lot more intangible. So actually, if anybody's got some really good ways that they measure those, I'm totally open to hearing about it.
That is one thing that a lot of bosses, they hate marketing people because we're all about the soft ROI.
Yeah.
And they're like, how do you measure that? Well, you kind of sometimes don't.
Yeah.
You have some brilliant ideas from Kramer that Karen and I can share?
No, not brilliant by any stretch of the imagination. It's funny because it does go, you change bosses and then you go through the same process again. But, in marketing, there's a lot of things that it's hard to tie an exact tangible ROI on. Print media advertising, what's the, if you say, hey, I'll give away a free pen to everybody who responds to this ad, you're not measuring the effectiveness of the ad. You're measuring how many people want free pens. And at a trade show, I've seen some presentations where you can take the number of scans and divide it by the total cost of the booth and come up with, or maybe even take those number of scans and find out which leads you feel are hot or warm, and then divide that by the cost of the booth and come up with a number. But honestly, I'm going to tell you that if I'm ever a boss, I'm going to be very satisfied with, we had really good conversations on the booth throughout the entire time. It comes down to the nature of those conversations. And Infocomm's a little unique because traditionally and still today, it's mostly a dealer integrator show. So we're going to one place to see all of our channel partners at one time. We'll get a couple of end users thrown in, usually higher education, but mostly it's that relationship building that Karen referred to before. And if that goes well and people are excited, and talking to us about the stuff they see at our booth, then we have a pretty good feel that the next year is going to go well.
Right. Well, and that reminds, a few months ago, I guess maybe last year or sometime, we had Peter Shankman on the show, and he had just come out with the book Zombie Loyalists. And I think that's maybe something for the manufacturers that Infocomm is about, because you're trying to build zombie loyalists in us integrators, so that we're going out and preaching for you to all of our clients, rather than you having to go door to door to every end user and convince them, hey, we want Kramer and Milestone products in our systems. So.
Yep, exactly.
Excellent. How do you think the ROI on a show like Infocomm compares to a local or regional show? I know AVI had a show not too long ago. Almo does shows. That's a distributor show, but different rep firms have shows, and there are little regional Infocomm events. If you've exhibited at those and Infocomm, how does that compare for you?
Well, I think that they're really two completely different kinds of animals. If I could, I'll take local shows, Dawn, and I'll classify them as dealer shows, and then more vertical industry shows, like small education shows, and smaller than Infocomm education shows, and so forth. So Infocomm is its own unique animal. If we look at a local dealer show like the one you just mentioned with AVI, our objectives at that show are in one way similar to Infocomm, in that it gives us a lot of exposure to their entire sales team at one time, even though the premise of that show is to talk to their end users. So when we go to one of those, first and foremost, we're going to maximize our time with that. Back to your, creating zombie loyalists, or making the dealer love us as much as possible. And then, of course, we're going to add in the component of doing the most effective job possible when they bring a customer over, to sell them into one of our solutions and make their job easier and help both of us out. But, Infocomm is a completely different beast. That's a completely different objective. It's, how do we generate a great deal of buzz and excitement for the next 12 months?
Okay.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. The small shows, because you could spend your entire life doing nothing but small shows and events. There's so many of these little regional events. So we try to have a little bit more of a specific idea of what does success look like at those events before we go into it. Say, this is what I want to accomplish. And it might be a couple of project leads. It might be connecting with a certain number of more individuals at this account than I had before, and have a little bit more of a tangible going in and say, did we accomplish that? You might have gotten something else out of it too, but write that down so that next year when you're looking at it and say, oh yeah, we did that one last year, that was great. But you do however many of these a year, it's hard to remember everything. And so we try to document some of that and say, what does success look like? Do you think you accomplished it? Is it worth doing again? Because you could be at some other regional event the same weekend that might be better. So trying to keep track of those is definitely different than Infocomm, because there's a million different ways you could go with that. So we do try to have a little bit more of a tangible idea of what is success before we go to some of these more small events.
Right. Do you think it's fair to tie those smaller events to one or two projects that may or may not provide a tangible ROI?
Maybe not, but it depends on what the show is. And sometimes it is just about meeting more people at that account. That might be success. It might be a little education show where you get a lead on a district that's pulling some new AV projects in there. And that might be your idea of success. I want 2 leads. And if they don't pan out, then they don't. But if that's what your idea was going in, I want to get 3 leads on different projects, and you get that, then yeah, we would say that it's still worthwhile, even if it may not completely pan out down the road.
And if I might add, So I asked if we earlier could classify those local shows into two types, dealer channel partner shows, and then these other more vertical shows. I'd like to talk about the more vertical shows for a second. I'm not going to name any shows, but they're out there. They're out there for government. They're out there for education. They're out there for houses of worship, and on and on and on, digital signage, okay? Historically, as a manufacturer, you fall into a trap, and that trap is that you get obsessed with being conspicuous by your absence, and you think, wow, that one time there's going to be $1 million opportunity that would walk up to the counter. I'm not going to be there. I've done this long enough that maybe it's just going to sound jaded, but I don't think those are worth our time and our investment anymore, and we've just stopped doing them. I'll do them with a channel partner, so I often hope a channel partner will come forward and say, hey, I want to do this show. Can you support me along with some other manufacturers? And I'll absolutely say yes. I don't do that proactively because I don't want to create jealousy in the channel either. So,
right.
But that's how I look at those shows.
Okay.
We call that FOMO, fear of missing out.
There you go. I love that. I'm going to steal that, Karen.
Yes.
Fear of missing out.
I had a quick question for Karen while we're still on the exhibitor, actually exhibiting at the show.
Mm-hmm.
So Milestone, you guys own a bunch of things now. So what all, you have like 5 brands under your umbrella? I know Vadio.
Yeah, actually. One of them is a consumer brand. So that's Sanus. But then, yes, we have Chief and Daylight and Vadio. And then Projecta is a European projection screen brand.
Okay. So do you find it more difficult, more challenging, or less so sort of doing Infocomm with all of these under one umbrella versus, I mean, I know when you acquired them and brought them all under one umbrella, I know Vadio had a great marketing team for a long time.
Yeah.
Had a great marketing. Everybody had a great marketing team. So you bring in all of these groups together under the umbrella of Milestone. Do you still have like brand marketing teams that are going to be working together but on their own for the show?
Yeah.
Or do you just kind of go for it?
No, we work together and on our own. So I am actually the marketing manager for the Chief brand. So we do have marketing managers that focus on each one of these. So we have, someone that focuses on Daylight, someone that focuses on audio and Chief, and then the consumer side of the business is its entirely own separate marketing team. And then we all do work together when we have some people that are cross-brand as well, that help tie all those pieces together. So it's been a little bit of a challenge as we all learn together, because last year was the first time we exhibited together at all, to have Chief and Daylight in the same booth, and now we're adding Vadio, and it's gone much smoother now that we've learned a few things on how to do that. But yeah, it's a lot of cooks. So having to figure out how to all work together, but we have a great team, and actually it's been a lot of fun to kind of figure out how we can bounce ideas off each other, and it doesn't always rest on one person's shoulders then a little bit as much as it used to.
Right. Yeah, my apologies to Clint for leaving you out on that question, but
No.
I just had to know, because I know Vadio has always had the great record T-shirts and the great themed booths, and Daylight has Daylight Man, and their physical challenges last year.
Yeah,
every brand has their own flavor. So
I could actually chime in a little bit if I may, because a number of years ago, back of 2004, I think it was, Kramer bought Sierra Video. And so then I had to figure out how to take two companies to one location. And at first we literally split the booth in half. We had 2 different colored carpets. We had a color carpet that tied their brand in on one side of the booth, and it looked like 2 booths next to each other, but they were literally one booth. And so that's another strategy. It's can you account for it that way as well?
Yeah, I just, that was, wasn't a pre-planned question, but I was just curious because they have very strong brands all under the Milestone umbrella. And it's like, Karen, how do you do that?
Yeah. And they will still have the Vadio shirts. So you're not going to miss out on the rock.
What are these shirts? I need to know about these shirts. What's with this?
One year they had it said Vadio across the front, but it was in the style of AC/DC with a lightning bolt.
Oh, cool.
Here was Prince. It was a Purple Rain inspired shirt.
Yep.
Nice.
So there's always some sort of music theme to it, which is something they always did, and we didn't want to stop doing that. It's part of Vadio. So
well, your integrators love it. So looking forward.
Yeah, it'll still be there this year. I'm not going to give away the theme though.
Okay. Darn. Well, I was going to come to your booth anyway, but
Perfect.
I'll be there. So for both of you, how can your integration partners use what you do before and after the show to really showcase your products? For instance, the Vadio shirts. I know my boss loves the Vadio AC/DC shirt. He'll wear it in the office. He'll wear it out to meet customers, and I'm like, we're on a business suit, but. So, are there specific ways that you ask your integration partners to sort of work with your initiatives, or what we can do to showcase your products? Either of you?
I don't know. You want to take that one, Clint?
Sure, I'll attempt to take that one. Sure. There aren't really specific initiatives, unless I'm being, sometimes I get a little scatterbrained, but around the show, the specific initiative for us at the show is to make sure ahead of time that we make as many appointments and make sure that we're going to see as many of our partners as we possibly can, so that we can give them the most important message that we're there to deliver in person. We'll do that. We've started adding a cocktail party to our menu of options of what we're doing at the booth during the course of the show. Whatever we can do, we do a lot of work ahead of time in sending out invitations. If you take a particular group, if you take a particular group, we might say, okay, PS&I. For example, we might say to PS&I, hey, we've got a new CEO this year. If you stop by and get him to sign this card and meet our new CEO, then you'll be entered to win some kind of a prize. So for us, to simplify this whole thing, it's about making sure that we maximize those 3 days and talk directly to as many of our integrator partners as possible, more so than creating an initiative for them to carry forward.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I think that's great, because one of the biggest things, right, when someone walks in the booth is you don't just want to walk around and tell them, here's everything we've got. The first question you always try to ask is, what do you need? What do you want to learn about? What are you using? What kind of stuff are you doing? So that you can make sure you actually are telling people about the things that are the most relevant for their business. So that's definitely part of it. We also try to create enough materials, whether, utilize that time that you've got everything there and installed, especially for us. We've got a lot of really large products, to shoot some videos and show how things work, and really get some materials that can be reused then, either through social or just to show customers how something works. For our products in particular, on the chief side of things, it's not always easy to set up a 5x3 ceiling mounted video wall somewhere in the building. So as long as we've got all that set up, then it's a good time for us to be able to utilize all that and shoot some extra videos and show people how everything actually works.
Great. So can you talk a little bit about ways that manufacturers, your companies, or in general, can sort of assist integrators with our marketing strategies?
Sure. So I think that this is an area where we can do a better job as a manufacturer. Historically, we have focused 100% of our efforts on the our marketing towards the dealer integrator channel. They are our voice. You said it earlier. If someone comes in and says, "Hey, I'd like to put together a conference room with a display, and I want to be able to switch sources and so forth, have people connect real easily," we're hoping that integrator goes to Kramer when they say, "Okay, I got a solution for you," that we're part of that solution. So we used to spend all our time saying, 100% of our time saying, getting the dealer integrator to love us. And now some of our solutions are changing because of AV and IT convergence. And we're not just selling the glue products, where in the past, if someone knew they had a Kramer, it might actually be a bad thing, because that meant something might be wrong. Now we have solutions that are sexier. Like, it was always just the display and the source that were sexy. So now we can create some marketing for the end user. Well, as soon as we can do that, then we can partner better with our dealer integrator channel to pull more business through them, to get more business to come to their front door. And that's created a new opportunity for us that in the past we didn't have the ability to do. And so now we're trying to capitalize it. Now, then it becomes a question of the integrator. We can do anything. We can create anything and be as creative as you want to be. But what is the integrator? What makes sense for that particular integrator? And will they have the time and the opportunity to say, "Hey, please help us"? So it becomes then a case-by-case basis.
Okay. Karen,
Yeah,
anything
Clint
to
hit the
add there?
nail totally on the head there, because in B2B, I mean, you have sort of two levels of customers, right? You have your direct customers that you're selling to, and then, oh, now it's my turn to decline my phone call here. Your customers that you're selling to directly, and then their customers that they're selling to. So it's not just about, you know, getting those materials at the bottom of the funnel where they already kind of know what they're trying to accomplish, and they just need to be able to get the specs and figure out exactly what model or whatever it is that they need to know. Now we need to be producing materials for people who want to know, why do I need this in the first place? What's it going to do for me? How's it going to make my end user experience easier, whether that's setting up a conference room or, you know, menu board situations, retail, I mean, whatever it happens to be, education. Providing those kinds of materials that our partners can then use to help explain these things to their customers, that pull through that Clint was talking about, the top of the funnel where it's, okay, I'm trying to accomplish this vague thing. What do I actually need to do that? They're not looking for a matrix switcher, you know, they're looking for what they're trying to accomplish. And so getting those materials over that you guys can then use, or that will redirect to our partners, is where we're trying to focus a lot more of our efforts now.
And by the way, to get a dealer integrator channel partner to love you, there is nothing you can do that would make them love you more than if you walk some business in their front door.
Yes.
That's number one thing you can do.
Preach, brother. Preach. As an integrator, yes, please. And to Karen's point, you know, we, at least in my experience with the companies I've worked for, manufacturers have gotten a lot better at this, but you guys produce these fantastic assets to reach us and to reach end users. But then for a long time there, different manufacturers wouldn't let you use them. For instance, you know, I'd say, hey, we're putting up a new section of our website that's just all white papers and information about various products and solutions. Can I include your white paper on blah, blah on our site? And there would be some pushback at times. And I'm finding that some of that pushback is going away. Y'all are doing a great job and more willing to share that stuff. Obviously, we don't rebrand. You know, if Kramer has a fantastic white paper, we're not going to cross out Kramer. You know, it's Kramer available at you know, NetAV or wherever. But so thank you for that. And yes, please throw us leads. We love you guys.
Yeah, I think some people get so, it's almost cut off your nose to spite your face kind of thing. Well, I know I need that white paper to just get the leads. And so if I just give it to you and they just don't have to fill out a form, then I'm not getting my lead. But, you know, you're not seeing the big picture of just getting that education and your name out there, which is, I guess, I think a lot more valuable.
Right. Or can I link, you know, your fantastic video on how your Vadio group station works on my assets site, you know, on the company page or on my company YouTube, that, you know, put a link there and link it back to your site as well, but it would be on our page too.
Yeah, please do.
You know, please help us out.
Yeah.
All right. That's kind of enough talking about the manufacturer thing. Let's get to some fun stuff. Individually, and I'll start with Clint since he's on the left on my screen anyway. What are you most looking forward to at this year's Infocomm 17 in Orlando?
Me as Clint or me as Clint from Kramer Electronics?
Give me both.
You want both?
Yeah, sure.
So me as Clint, I'm looking forward to the ability to just see all my friends and in the industry and all these folks I'm talking about. We want to have these positive conversations. I get to see them all in one giant shot and have a wonderful time hanging out with old friends and conducting business at the same time. So for me, I always look forward to that. And from the Kramer perspective, for, you know, when you have a good story in a particular year that you can tell at the show, and it doesn't mean like great product, because that's a part of the overall story, but when you have that good story, then it just makes it so much more exciting. We had a tremendous story last year. We have a tremendous story this year. And so these are good years for us. And I'm very much looking forward to being able to tell that story.
Excellent. Looking forward to hearing that story.
You got it.
Karen, how about you?
Pretty similar. Yeah, you stay in this industry long enough, and you just get to know a lot of people, both other manufacturers, customers, and I always really look forward to Infocomm and being able to just talk with people that you might know over Twitter or over emails, and that you actually kind of get to see, meet them in person. It's also just a lot of fun with people that you work with and to kind of be out of the office and have a little bit of that corporate bonding time. But yeah, I agree. We have a lot of new products across all of our brands this year. And then with meshing them, kind of like we talked about earlier with, all the milestone brands, I am very excited to see how we pull it all together this year, because it feels a lot more cohesive with the 3 brands. And it's just, I think it'll be a lot of fun to see how it finally all comes together. You get the rendering of your booth, right? When you actually get to see, how it all comes together in this giant scale, it's just really exciting.
Fantastic. And, I'm going to third the call for my own self. What Clint said, working in this industry, even though Infocomm is a huge show with 40,000 people at it at any given time, and we're a multi-billion-dollar industry, but we're still very small and close knit. And you make some tremendous friendships in the industry long enough via Twitter, via, LinkedIn groups, regional groups, and actually at the show. And so I can't wait to meet all of my friends again, hang out with them, obviously see fantastic tech and hear fantastic stories like at the Kramer and the Milestone booths. Yep. But, part of the fun is going to see the people. So I'll give a quick shameless plug here. If you're watching the show, or Clint and Karen and your crews as well, you're all invited to the AVNation tweet up that is going to be in room W108A. And I think it is on Thursday, but I will be corrected. Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m., room W108A. And we'll be there with some food, we'll be there with some beverages, and we'll be there with a lot of friends and a lot of great AV talks. We hope you can join us. Visit avnation.tv to sign up. Clint, how can people find you or find you on social, find you in general, or find you at the show? What's your booth number? Sure. All of those good things.
Absolutely. Well, on the web, they can find Kramer at www.kramerav.com. At the show, we'll be in booth 2930. So, and if anybody wants to contact me, I'm choffman@kramerus.com.
Okay, fantastic. And Karen, same questions?
Yes, you can find all the brands, Chief, Daylight, and Vadio online at milestone.com. We will all be showcasing together like we talked about in one booth. That's 2600 in Infocomm. And if you want to get a hold of me on Twitter, it is Chief_Karen S.
Wonderful. Thank you guys both for taking some time out of your busy day and ignoring phone calls to join us on the podcast. I personally look forward to meeting both of you again, in some cases in person at Infocomm, and seeing these wondrous booths that we've been talking about, and hopefully making some new friends and new memories.
Excellent. Look forward to seeing you there, Dawn. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Karen.
Yep. I was going to say, and in closing, I'm Dawn from AVNation.tv. You can find us at AVNation.tv, and you can find me on Twitter and all kinds of other places at AVDawn. Thanks for watching and listening today, and thanks for coming. We'll see you at the show.